Hi guys, it's Phantom Phoenix here to show you the walkthrough of how I achieved this look for my Genos cosplay, so let us get into it. So I first put in my contacts, which are the Geo Crazy lenses in this color, I don't know the name of it, from this company, which I will butcher their name if I say it, so forgive me if I don't say it. So the next thing, I put my hair in a wig cap, which I always do before I do my makeup for cosplay, because, you know, it's really messy if you do it after the fact, so yeah. So then I used a primer from e.l.f. and just went ahead and primed my face with my foundation brush, which I should also preface this video by saying I am no makeup artist. I know I'm not doing a lot of things the proper way of, you know, applying things, so please take what I'm doing in this video with a grain of salt. If I'm doing something wrong, I probably know it, so yeah. After that, I went on to my eyebrows, which I'm using the Got To Be spiking gel, I think that's what it's called. I don't like using glue in my eyebrows because, I don't know, I just don't like to. So I'm using this hair gel. I feel a lot more comfortable using it because it's actually meant to go in hair, and I'd rather use that than glue, so yep. You can use whichever method that you like, but this is just my preferred method of setting my eyebrows, and so that I can cover them later on. After the first coat had dried, I carefully applied a second coat to that. Once that was almost dry, it was still a little bit tacky, so I just put on some powder on top, and that helped get rid of the tackiness and helped to sort of mute out the color as a starting point for covering my eyebrows later on after my foundation. So for my foundation, I'm just using this really light BB cream from Mayron. I don't really need any heavy coverage since I don't really have a lot of imperfections in my complexion as of right now. So that's just what I'm using. I noticed that if I use stuff that is way too much coverage, it really looks obvious on me, so that's why I am not using it. So I'm just applying that all over on my lids and under my eyes, and then I'm going over my eyebrows with it and blending that out into the rest of my face so there's no harsh lines where the eyebrows are, which tends to happen if you don't blend it out enough. Please excuse me today, I cannot speak. So after that, I'm using this Master Concealer also from Mayron, and I'm using that underneath my eyes, cover up any other small blemishes, and then I'm also using that on my eyebrows. So I'm going in with that concealer and going in over my eyebrows, and I'm making sure that I go over the line of my eyebrows far enough so that I can blend it out. Again, if you don't want a harsh line, because that's kind of defeating the purpose of covering your eyebrows if there's a harsh line right where your eyebrows are. So yeah, I'm just blending that in with my finger in slight tapping motions. Again, you want to be really careful when doing this because you don't want to disturb the glue underneath, because if you do too much roughness over it, it will destroy the glue underneath. So I'm just going in with my compact powder and setting that all up. Once that was done, I went ahead and I went over my eyebrows once more with just the BB cream. I usually would go in with another coat of the concealer to make it extra covered, but I didn't really feel it necessary. This was just a test makeup, so I didn't really see the need to add that extra time, and it did cover up my eyebrows pretty well. I do have pretty light eyebrows, so covering them isn't really a huge chore. So if you have a little bit darker eyebrows or even thicker eyebrows, you may need to do a lot more to get them fully covered. So once I was done with that, I can finally start on the rest of the makeup. So I first started with an angled brush and a black eyeshadow from the Revlon palette that I had, and started putting in my eyebrows, which I started from the bottom inner corner of my eyebrow, and then followed the bottom of my eyebrow up to the arch of my brow, and then followed my natural arch back down. It is always best, at least for me, to use my normal actual eyebrow as a guide for my new eyebrows, and I find that it works on my face the best. So once I was done with that, using this is actually an eyeliner brush that came with a gel liner, I'm using that same eyeshadow to start working on the shape for my eyeliner. Now I'm going in with eyeshadow first because for me it's a lot easier to use than the liquid liner that I'm going to use later on to get that base shape. And it's a lot easier, at least for me, to remove, and I feel a lot less shaky with it, so that's why I'm using it as a base. It does look pretty dark and pretty good on the camera, but I did go over it later on with liquid liner to make all the edges really sharp and really dark to get that super cartoony sort of anime look. This is going to be a really exaggerated eye because I kind of wanted to mimic the look that he has in the anime, because in the anime his eyes, the whites of his eyes are black and then he has yellow eyes, but I wasn't going to spend a ton of money on sclera lenses right off the bat, especially since these were the first contacts I've ever worn in my life. I wasn't going to go with scleras right off the bat, especially splurge that much money. So I just kind of created the illusion that my eyes were doing that with this really exaggerated eye makeup. So here I am just touching up that makeup a little bit more with the eyeshadow and making sure the shape is exactly how I want it. And I'm going in with this liquid eyeliner, and this isn't any major brand. I don't know where it came from actually, but it's just a basic liquid eyeliner, and I'm just going in and filling in that entire shape with the liquid liner. For this look, I also extended the inner corner of my eye to be much longer and it came to a sharp point. I do this with pretty much all of my anime makeup looks. I just bring the entire thing around my eye and it gives this really dramatic, nice look that I really, really love. So after that, the first eye was done. So then, on the second eye, I just went on with the same eyeshadow technique and filled it in with the liquid liner, like the first. So, after I had done my second eye, I'm just cleaning off some of the excess liner from my eyelids, and that is done. So after that was done, I went into contour and I'm just using this palette also from e.l.f. and that big fluffy brush. I'm just contouring my cheekbones a tad. I don't have to do a ton of contouring to my own cheekbones because they're already pretty sharply shaped. They're already pretty pronounced is what I mean. But I did contour my nose to make it slimmer and a lot more masculine looking. I also took that same contour under my new brow that I drew and made it seem like my brow bone came a little bit lower than it actually does to create the illusion that that's where my actual brow belongs. And I just blended that all in a little bit. And I normally would go in and contour my jawline, but you'll see why we don't have to do that in a second. Because we're about to go in with our neck makeup. So I'm going in with a palette from Mayron. It's their Paradise Paint, and I'm using their black. Mayron's Paradise Paint is a water-activated body paint. It is really, really nice, and I love it. So I'm just taking that, dipping some water in that, and painting it all over my neck. So after I had that done, it's time for the silver accents on his neck. So I did this with this Mayron metallic powder, which you've seen here. It's a loose powder that you could probably use as an eyeshadow if you wanted to, but I'm using it with the mixing liquid that it's supposed to be mixed with, and it creates this really, really nice liquid metal, essentially, and it acts like a paint, and it's really, really great. And if you're ever doing something that requires, like, metal accents on a cosplay, I really highly recommend this stuff. It's super, super good. So I'm just putting a little bit of powder in the dish and then a splash of the mixing liquid, and there's no exact measurements on how to do this as far as I know, so I just kind of mix it up by feel. You don't want it to be super, super thin because it'll end up being super, super streaky, which you'll kind of see. I think I made it a little bit too thin because it ended up being kind of streaky when I was painting it on, but I do fix that in the end. So there it is right there. So I kind of looked at some reference images and tried to find the exact angle of everything where I wanted to start it, and depending on what you're looking at, it kind of does change throughout the anime, I think. So I've personally found that beginning at my ear down to the inner part of my collarbone seemed to work the best and look the best. So once I had that general shape down, I just started filling it in to the desired thickness that I wanted and sort of fixed up the shape as I went. Once I had that first side done, I just went on to the second side and tried to match it as best as I could. So now with both sides done, you can kind of tell the streakiness, but not a whole lot on the video. It was definitely a lot worse in person. So here I am just searching around for a craft brush that'll work. Don't worry, it was brand new, wasn't used for paints or anything. So it was a much wider brush that I used, and I thickened up the mixture a little bit by adding a little bit more powder, and then just went ahead and went over those pieces again to make them super smooth and streak free. So once I had those done, this is the completed makeup look. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching me put on makeup, and so yeah, that's the end of the video, and I will see you guys next time.